My TV. Science now. I got this down to a science, but the man who saved the world, Fern. You know what I'm saying? I've been growing on him. I mean, he been growing on me. Or this channel. Nobody's been growing on me. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna switch that up real quick. But this video is the man who saved the world. Now, how did this man say, I gotta pre-like it? Pre-like it. Come on, pre-like. How did he save the world?
Satellite Cosmos 1382 detects the launch of a nuclear missile. Location near a U.S. missile base in Montana. Threat assessment, maximum probability. The emergency protocol is clear. Relay the alarm to Central Command without delay. A counterattack must be initiated immediately. Thousands of Soviet nuclear warheads stand ready for launch, and so do the American missiles. Many carry over 50 times the explosive power of Fat Man, the atomic bomb dropped on Nagasaki.
10 times?
To wipe out humanity.
You seen this already?
The logic of the Cold War.
You've already seen this? It just came out. It just came out. When did you see it? You seen this like yesterday? Today?
Mutually assured destruction. Whoever fires first dies second. The man responsible for making one of the most important calls in history is Soviet Lieutenant Colonel Stanislav Petrov.
Oh, so he did
the
that.
Americans really attacking the Soviets. His report could trigger World War III, and with it, the end of civilization. A minibus is speeding along a remote forest road somewhere south of Moscow.
Sorry.
Stanislav Petrov is on his way to work. Tonight, he's filling in for a colleague on the night shift. About 10 minutes in, the minibus pulls up to a military checkpoint. A plain metal plaque by the gate reads, Center for the Observation of Celestial Bodies.
That does not say that. That does not say that. Where does he see that to know that's what that says?
Officially, this place doesn't exist. It's not marked on any map. Tall white concrete walls shut it off from the outside world.
He refused?
Here, in the Serpukhov 15 bunker, Petrov is about to begin his shift. He's the shift commander for the Soviet Union's early warning system, OKO. His job is to trigger the alarm if the system detects a nuclear strike. Today, around 80 employees are under his command. 4 quiet, uneventful hours pass. But at 12:15 a.m., the alarm goes off. It happens during one of the most dangerous periods of the Cold War. Since the late 1970s, tensions have been rising in a new spiral of escalation. Since 1977, the Soviet Union deploys new medium-range ballistic missiles in Ukraine and Belarus. In response, the West introduces the so-called NATO double-track decision. Starting in 1983, similar missiles will be stationed across Europe.
Why do they want to use... The situation happened more than once. Oh. So why do they want to use nuclear weapons if they know that's like... That'll like kill the Earth? Like, why use the nuclear ones when they can just use the regular like bombs? Nukes do more damage, of course, but like the Earth. Right?
Lock onto their targets.
Ain't that shit like poisonous?
A few weeks after the NATO decision, Soviet troops roll into Afghanistan. The Soviet Union wants to prevent the collapse of a communist regime that has seized power in a military coup along its southern border. The invasion sparks outrage in the West. In response, the West begins backing Islamist insurgents. In 1981, newly elected U.S. President Ronald Reagan unveils an aggressive rearmament plan. He even orders an assessment of whether the United States could win a nuclear war. Soviet leader Yuri Andropov becomes convinced that NATO is preparing a surprise attack. To catch it early, he launches Operation Ryan, the largest intelligence mission in Soviet history. KGB agents are ordered to watch for any sign of a looming nuclear
strike. I feel like I'm in history class. I didn't learn this.
That includes tracking things like sudden spikes in blood donations or an increase of official political visits.
He said they learning about if people are collecting more blood?
That includes tracking things like sudden spikes in blood donations.
Sudden spikes. So if the blood donation was like this, and it just, all right, so they collecting that blood because they may need it for the war. So he really owned it.
Or an increase of official political visits.
So if more political people come and they think they recruit, okay, so they figuring something.
That's how Andropov learns about Able Archer, planned for the fall of 1983. Able Archer is designed to be the NATO's largest and most realistic nuclear war exercise. It will simulate a full-scale nuclear conflict at the highest alert level. The exercise will also include
I watch these often. You got to go to the YouTube. Well, I watch them live, so you can come to the live or like catch it on YouTube if you ain't in here. But I go live every day. I'm on day 22. But what you miss, you're going to most likely catch on YouTube. I linked it.
Andropov fears it could be a smokescreen for a real strike. In March 1983, Reagan famously
I want to watch them. I can keep going. But then what fun is that? Like, I'm just doing the same thing. Why not add 2 or 3 of these in a day and then like game for like 2-3 hours and then like
an
do
evil
something.
empire.
Mix it up.
Let us be aware that while they preach the supremacy of the state,
I appreciate that sub. It didn't take me or nothing.
And predict its eventual domination of all peoples on the earth. They are the focus of evil in the modern world.
Oh yes, it did.
By this point, dialogue between the two superpowers has all but collapsed. Public fear of nuclear war grows by the day. Millions around the world take to the streets to protest the arms race.
That's late.
The spiral of escalation reaches a temporary peak just 4 weeks before the incident at Serpukhov 15 bunker. It's September 1st, 1983.
1983.
A South Korean Boeing 747 is en route from New York to Seoul. On board, 269 civilians, including 61 Americans and a U.S. congressman. What they don't know, the plane has veered off course. A misprogrammed autopilot is steering them straight into Soviet airspace.
Oh!
To the Soviets, every unexpected move looks like espionage.
So it's just a regular plane.
Into the sky, one of them flown by Major General Gennady Osipovich. He spots a large passenger plane, its navigation lights clearly visible, not exactly what you'd expect from a spy plane. Osipovich radios in his report. The order from Moscow is clear. Destroy the target.
Oh.
After a brief back and forth, he fires a warning shot. No reaction from the passenger plane. Then he launches 2 missiles.
Destroying it. R.I.P.
All 269 people on board are killed.
Wait, so did I miss something? Did they hit themselves? Like they strike themselves?
At first, the Soviet Union denies any responsibility. 5 days later, they admit the attack, claiming they genuinely believe the plane was on a spy mission. The United States quickly turns the tragedy into a powerful propaganda weapon.
It worked. They didn't fly passenger planes to. Okay, they don't fly the passenger planes over the region because they get scared.
Before the night of September 26, 1983, tensions were hanging heavy in the
When recently?
bunker.
They shot down one recently? The same people? Oh, they want war with everybody. Hey, y'all better tap in before y'all fly. So that's why I don't like planes. Don't shoot me down and I can't do nothing.
Microphone and shouts, "Everybody to their stations. Follow my orders. Check all equipment and report." He's repeated these words countless times in training. Before being trusted with his role, he had to memorize every detail, including exactly what to say in a moment like this. During basic training, Petrov was drilled for nuclear war. He stood in shielded chambers, handled radioactive material, and practiced emergency protocols for a full-scale atomic strike. But Petrov isn't the kind to just blindly follow orders. He's not a typical soldier. He's a scientist and engineer first. Years later, Petrov faces a decision no training could prepare him for. It's not a moment for quick reaction. It's one for smart analysis. Clear thinking under pressure isn't luck. It comes from understanding how systems behave. Brilliant can help you develop these abilities.
Oh, pre-ad?
Connect algebra, probability, and understand patterns.
No, but it been rules since this. The Koreans shot one down once. Too far?
Several awards for his work, including the title of Master Specialist in the Air Force. Petrov isn't allowed to speak about his work, though. Not to his wife, Raisa, or their 2 children, Dmitry
we can't even
and
talk
Yelena.
about it.
Though they live just minutes away from the bunker, they have no idea what he does here. or how critical his decision will be that day.
Oh my God. Okay, so that may be, that takes another level of strength. You can't even tell your woman. The kids, I mean, they shouldn't really be, you know what I'm saying? But you can't even tell your wife. Because her, without you even knowing unconsciously, her talking about the situation to you, bringing it back up, change how you feel or look about the situation. Unconsciously, though.
But right now, none of that is on Petrov's mind. Not his family, not even the stakes. He's thinking about teaspoons.
Teaspoon?
Nobody uses a teaspoon to slowly fill a bucket, he mumbles. Why would the Americans launch just one missile? The Americans have repeatedly threatened with a massive first strike, hundreds, even thousands of missiles, all designed to hit the enemy at the same time. Petrov orders his team to run a series of checks on the computer systems. Everything is working perfectly, but the cameras show no visual confirmation of a missile launch. 2 minutes later, Petrov finally makes his call. He reports back to the headquarters. Probably a false alarm.
So that's what changed.
Moments later, the sirens wail again. This time the system shows a second missile, then a third, a fourth, a fifth. The alert level jumps from launch to missile attack. Petrov knows the warning system inside and out. He helped to build it. He wrote the software and the manual.
He wrote the software and the manual. He was the person and he was filling in for somebody today. He's
to
him.
develop Oko after falling behind the Americans. They've been using a similar technology for over a decade. The Soviet system has been operational for less than a year. Oko, Russian for eye, is built to monitor Earth using a network of observation satellites. The satellites feed their data directly into an M10 supercomputer. The machine runs a complex 29-step algorithm to determine if a missile attack is underway, all in near real time. But Petrov doesn't trust the computer. The maximum probability warning feels wrong to him. It's too certain. He and his team see no other signs of a nuclear launch. He thinks to himself, we built the systems, we should be smarter than the machines. Petrov reports a second false alarm. What follows are the longest 17 minutes of Petrov's life. That's how long it would take US missiles to reach Soviet soil. Thousands of US ballistic missiles are primed for launch at key strategic locations, such as here, here, and here. Just one Minuteman III missile, armed with 3 warheads, could simultaneously obliterate the Kremlin's military command, flatten an airbase, and vaporize a submarine harbor. If nuclear war breaks out, thousands of cities would vanish in minutes. Hundreds of millions of people would die instantly.
Hundreds of millions of people would die instantly? Why do y'all want to go to war? But just be happy, bruh. Like, relax. Hundreds of millions. I don't want to be one of them. Bro, I ain't even did everything yet. I got stuff I want to do. Leave me out of it. Leave me out of it, please.
Would be left to face a slow, agonizing death from radiation. Petrov is not certain he made the right call. He estimates the odds of a real attack at 50-50. When Petrov hangs up the phone, his colleagues stare at him in disbelief. He's just broken protocol, without a shred of proof that the warning system was wrong. A storm of questions must be racing through Petrov's mind. What if I am wrong, and missiles really are on their way? Would that be my fault? But what if it is a false alarm? Could I live with millions of lives on my conscience? In the end, Petrov relies on only one thing, his instincts. He refuses to be the man who starts World War III.
So he could have started it. No one wants war besides old asses who don't have to fight them. I swear, like, bro, I don't want those problems. I'm chilling. Like, look at me. My knees up. Think I want to go fight?
17 minutes pass. No missiles appear on radar. No explosion on camera. Petrov was right. It was a false alarm.
So he
Months later, an investigative committee uncovers the cause of the false alarm. A rare and almost deadly chain of coincidences. A unique alignment of high-altitude clouds and sunlight produced a reflection, one the satellite mistook for a missile launch. And all of this happened directly over an American military base. The satellite's sensors were overly sensitive to light reflections. At the time of the alert, the sun was setting over Montana. That boundary between day and night often produces unclear satellite images. Immediately after the incident, this vulnerability was corrected. A while later, the system got an upgrade. The new OCO-1 generation could also determine the exact trajectory and thus the intended target of a nuclear missile. But the system would never again display a warning. The man who saved the world from nuclear war was never recognized as a hero in his own country. No public honor, no monument, not even a promotion. Instead, his supervisor asked him why he hadn't logged the incident properly. Petrov explained. He had the phone in one hand, the microphone in the other. He didn't have a third, and writing it down later would have been forgery. He received a formal reprimand. Apparently, the military leadership was less interested in the truth and more in finding a scapegoat for the system's failure. A year later, Petrov was forced to submit a request to leave the military of his own accord. Whether it was truly voluntary is highly doubtful.
He can't speak on it.
Petrov moves with his family to a quiet suburb outside Moscow. For nearly a decade, he works at the research institute that built the OCO system. For years, he tells no one what happened that September night, 1983, not even his family. But 10 years later, shortly after the collapse of the Soviet Union, Petrov's former superior reveals the incident in the Russian military newspaper, Pravda. Still, almost no one in Russia hears about it. Petrov retires in 1994. His monthly pension is about $55. He cannot afford a
Hey, somebody give him some money. Somebody give him some money. We need more people like that, bro. He could have sent it up off of, they won't fight. He could have sent it up. But he said, bro, I built this shit. I made this shit. False alarm, nigga. Twice.
Telephone. At times he has to scrounge for food. During this period, he cares for his seriously ill wife, Raisa. In 1997, she passes away.
He need more praise, bro.
A year later, a man in Germany called Karl Schumacher reads an article in a German newspaper about the lonely, destitute Petrov. Deeply moved, he flies to Russia and invites Petrov to Germany. After the turn of the millennium, Petrov's story, at last, reaches an international audience. He is celebrated in the West for his quiet act of courage. At the United Nations, he is honored with the World Citizen Award. Other awards soon.
How was he getting praise in other niggas' cities, but not his? Well, not cities, countries, but not his own. Like they just used this nigga. Where's praise at? Shit, thank him. Should I thank him? Well, I wouldn't even. I wouldn't have been here.
Follow. More than 200 journalists from around the world come to visit him. Petrov often says he doesn't want to be seen as a hero. He was just doing his job and fulfilling his duty. But he also adds, the world can be glad that I was in command that night, and not some blindly obedient military man.
Not some blindly obedient military man. He still had his conscience. He had his gut.
In 2014, Petrov's story is told in a documentary. The film opens with him hurriedly hiding a bottle of beer under the couch, just before the journalists arrive. He's portrayed as a foul-mouthed, temperamental alcoholic. Many scenes are clearly staged. Petrov later claims that he was forced to use particularly vulgar language on camera. For his participation, he receives a compensation of $3,000.
Who using it? Bro, this is back where he at? They using him for... Ain't no way.
In September 2017, Karl Schumacher calls to wish Petrov a happy 78th birthday. But this time, it isn't Petrov who answers. It's his son. He tells him that Petrov has died a few months earlier, quietly, without the world noticing. The man places an obituary in a local German newspaper. Only then does the public learn that Stanislav Petrov has passed away. 2 years later, a memorial plaque is unveiled in his honor in Oberhausen, Germany. In Russia, however, for a long time the incident remains mostly a secret. Not even Petrov's gravestone mentions what he did, no acknowledgement of his actions.
That's fucked up.
In 2022, the independent Russian YouTube channel Reduxia releases a documentary on Stanislav Petrov. For many Russians, it's the first time they hear his story. Feel free to check it out.
It's crazy.
The video has English subtitles.
Thank you. Because I ain't gonna lie, I had no hope for it.
More than 40 years after the incident, the nuclear bomb is once again wielded as a tool of political power. Nearly all the major disarmament treaties signed in the late 1980s have either expired or been unilaterally abandoned. The international security architecture built during that era has largely collapsed. Today, nearly all nuclear-armed states are rearming. Their nuclear arsenals are being continuously modernized. In 2025, the doomsday clock stands at 89 seconds to midnight,
What?
closer to global catastrophe than ever before, according to the world's leading nuclear scientists. Well, maybe not as close as on that fateful September night.
You ain't never heard this? I didn't know who he was. This is my first time hearing about him. I didn't
More
know
than
this.
40 years ago. Until his death, Petrov warned that humanity's greatest
We're
danger...
closer than what? We closer than 89 seconds? What we closer to?
Well, maybe not as close as on that fateful September night, more than 40 years ago. Until his death, Petrov warned that humanity's greatest danger is its own fallibility. One way or another, you always need a person to order a launch of one of these weapons.
Yeah, I don't even know what we into it with. Like, what Iran do to us, and what do we do to Iran? Like, what is that about? Never mind. I don't even want to talk about it. I don't want no problem with them. Hey.
A person can always make a mistake.
They got the internet. I'm cool. I don't even. Hey, forget I asked. Don't even worry about it. Hey, but that's it. That's it.